Alright, Van Wolverine running MS-DOS 6.22 20th Anniversary Edition 2003. Chapter 10, Protecting Your Disk and Files. Overview. You can see the hard disk is much faster, the more convenient you use the floppy disk, even though the latest high-capacity floppy disks have no more than 3 megabytes, but the same with the feature of the hard disk, some of the value for the most lowest. Make loss of the disk and file stream with the more distressing and bad enough to discover the MS-DOS either can find out unless it's stored on floppy disk. Almost always worse than the same thing happens to a hard disk. MS-DOS tries to help protect your file. The request confirmation becomes before it carries out the delete with the command would remove all the files of the directory. The recent version of the MS-DOS protect the accidentally format leave the disk of the requirement you type of the drive letter if the hard disk could prompt you to verify the command addition to these tabs. To make your choice before carrying out potential destructive command, MS-DOS also provided the shift commands help protect the bunch of your valuable file with the MS-DOS command with the version 6 of the backup. The restore of the commands in an earlier version let you copy the file with the hard disk with the floppy disk safekeeping and then copy them back to the hard disk if you needed. If displayed with the safeguards, you still lose files accidentally. MS-DOS done with the version 5 that include the undelete, unformat condition that recovery of the file after delete it. Restoring contents of the disk overtly format. Version 6 continue with the emphasis for the guarding against recovering the file damage, adding 2 extra levels of file protection on delete command, adding undelete for the Windows. A program that provides the same protection Windows as well as the MS-DOS version. Undelete version 6 also offers antivirus programs to run under MS-DOS and Windows. Chapter shows you how to use these protective features, including MS-DOS version, undelete, antivirus protection. See documentation that comes to MS-DOS description how to use the Windows version of these programs. For example, the chapter requires some preparation. If you still have a floppy disk, you use the example of chapter 5. Manage your files, put it in drive A, and go on to the section called Recover Deleted Files. If you do not have an example of floppy disk, put a formatted floppy disk in drive A. Type the following command. Copy consoles A to report text. This is dummy file. Shift Z. Copy one file with the C drive, the A drive. A copy to report text bank of the text file. Copy to A copy to report text forecast text. One file copy report text budget January, and then copy report text budget February. One required. Using the directory command to check all of the 5 levels of the floppy disk, A directory, and then shift all of the 5 of the files. Depending on the floppy disk you've put in drive the A, you report your may show the more files and things with the file's name should be appear there. These time of the dates will be different too, but the name of the file with the 23 dates, 23 bytes should be the same in the complete preparation example in this chapter. Recover deleted files. Begin with the version 5 of the MS-DOS with the undeleted command that can help to recover the files deleted in most cases. The delete of the file. The MS-DOS marks in storage space for the disk if they're able to preview. That does not physically remove the information contained in the space of the MS-DOS may be the storage space in this way. It is possible to use the undelete command to recover the delete file only until the MS-DOS reuse the part of all the file disk space. The other file of the MS-DOS version 6 substantially changed with the undeleted command by introducing 2 levels of file protection in addition to the one with available to version 5. If you have version 5, skip the selection of deleted tracking file. The following section covers version 6. Alright, undeleted levels of protection. MS-DOS version 6 offers an enhanced undeleted command that helps you recover the file that you've deleted, include the 3 levels of protection. Standard delete tracker, the delete sentry. Standard use sentry. Standard use the information recorded with the MS-DOS recover the deleted file with the work for the reinstatement of the information by the disk location the deleted file was stored. 3 levels of guarding against file deletion with the standard provide the lowest level of protection you can use to recover the deleted file as long as the MS-DOS does not play with another file with any portion of the deleted file's location. Standard level of protection is available when you switch on your computer. Delete tracker offers the next higher level of the undeleted file protection. It's use the hidden name PC tracker .delete to hold the discharge storage information about the files you deleted. Once you start the delete tracker for a disk drive, undelete the record storage information for all the subsequent deleted files. Undelete can use these information to try to recover one or more deleted files. The MS-DOS has placed another file over the part of the deleted file's location. Undeleted attempts to restore part of the file with the delete tracker in version 6 works the same way the deleting tracker in feature 5, version 5, which is thus in its new section deleted tracking. Choose the delete tracker level of protection. Type the undeleted command specified with the parameter T. switch and drive you want to protect. For example, the active delete tracker on the drive A, you would type the following command. Do not type this in the command now. Undeleted uh, A drive undeleted parameter T and A. Delete Sentry offers the highest entry level of protection against accidental file deletion. It creates with a hidden directory named Sentry that you leave the file with the moved and with a changing record of the file location. When you undelete the file, the MS-DOS move the file back to its original location. With Delete Sentry protection, you do not have to worry about MS-DOS packing another file in the delete file place. The detailed file remains tucked away on your disk and safe sound. Undeleted truly remove the file from your hard disk either for 7 days or undeleted needs no more room in the Sentry directory. To activate Delete Sentry level protection, specify with the parameter S switch of the drive you want to protect. You select the current drive. You do not need to include with the drive letter designation. For example, if they have the current drive, A is the following is in at the command with the prompt of the type of the command now. After you think sure the Microsoft Windows is not running A drive undelete parameter S. Now delete the test files you created earlier. Delete report text. Delete bank test. Delete forecast. Delete budget. Delete budget February. Now check the directory again. A drive directory. Volume drive of the examples. All right, Mama. If they were, all right, Mama. If there were other files on the floppy disk, you just put them in drive A. They still appear within the report, but the five files you deleted should be gone. If you have version 6, you try use the undelete command to retrieve all the files you deleted. The following list discover the more parameter version 6 to undelete the command with the find over the undeleted advanced parameters. See appendix C of the MS-DOS command reference undelete file name. Parameters ds, dt, dos, all, list, status, data, the parameter u, s, and drive, and t, drive. File name is the name of the file you want to restore. You can specify the drive and the path. You can always use the wildcard to specify the set of the files. If you do not include the file name undeleted, assume that you will recover all the deleted file of the current directory of the current drive. DS recover any of those files protect with the delete Sentry level the prompting the figure confirmation of each file with the undeleted. Assume that the backslash DS is the Sentry directory exists even if you don't include it in the parameter. TT recovers only the files protected with the delete tracker level of prompting for the confirmation on each level. DOS recovers only those files that internally listed and being deleted by MS-DOS, prompting confirmation on each of the files with the deletion traction file exists, which is called for the undeleted to ignore it. Alright, parameter all recovers all deleted files without prompting the confirmation on each. Prompt list deleted file with the variable recovered but does not recover any file that can restrict and resolve listing. Even the file name parameter the parameter DS, DL, DT, and DOS switches. Parameter U disables delete factor delete Sentry protection. Parameter status display with the type of the detailed protection. In fact, for each of the drive, you can specify any of the other parameters when you have the status. Parameter S drive enable the delete Sentry level the protection load of the memory resident with a portion of the undeleted program. If in the middle of the drive, the undelete with the files on the current drive. You can specify any other parameters when you use the parameter S drive. Parameter T drive enable the detail tracker level the protection load of the memory resident and portion of the undeleted program. If you omit the drive, undelete will protect the files on the current drive. If you can specify any other parameters when you use the parameter T drive, you can just delete the shovel file with the disk of the drive A to request the list of the files of this A drive undeleted list. Undeleted command responds with the displays like undeleted protection facility with the copyrighted and then show the reserved in directory file with specification and deletion Sentry control files contain 5 deletions. Tracks file with not deleted MS-op directory contains 5 deleted files of the video files may be recovered using the delete Sentry method. Last exam of this report, although it's long, it is not difficult to interpret it after 3 lines with the introductory test undeleted lets you know where you're searching for the deleted files and what types of files you're searching for. In this case, looking for the root directory of the disk, and drive A is looking for for all deleted files. The next section of the report gives the information about each level of protection. You can see the undeleted file and the file with the protected with the delete century level, and no file protected by the delete tracker level, the file protected with the standard level, the MS-DOS. Note that in this case, the undelete said that they cannot recover the file with the standard method. You need to use the delete century method. Finally, the report lists the 5 detailed deleted files given their names inside with the date and the time of the creation of the 8 tails so that the files have not been backed up to the archive of the remainder of each of the line and tells you the date when the time was file was deleted. Suppose you want an undelete command to recover the report text by undelete recovers only those files protected with the delete century level because those have the delete century level protection. All you have to do is the type of the following undelete report text. Because you were now running under the delete century level of protection, if you had been using the delete tracker while the file was deleted, you would have added to the prompt. The GT parameter, if you had been using the standard level of the wall file that was deleted, you would have to add the parameter add DOS. You see the same introductory test as before, then undeleted display as a directory A file specification report test. Delete century method, report text, and then type Y in a moment to recover the process. If the ends of the file successfully undeleted, recover the all deleted file with the disk. Search for the deleted file with recover the only those you want. You would be to type the undelete for each of the undeleted could recover the would display with a message prompt similar to those that you just saw. In each case, you would type yes or no to undelete whether to recover the ignore the file before continuing deleting report text. Once again, you return your sample disk to its earlier state. Undelete and delete tracking. I believe this is the version 5 one. Alright, reformatting, unformatting disk. If you have version 5 later, the MS-DOS then serve with the new floppy disk drive, they need to experiment with the unformat command. If you don't have the version 5 of later, skip the section called the developer to backup procedure. You should always be careful about formatting disks that are already contained in the program data starting with the file with the version 5. However, the MS-DOS can help you recover the inadvertent format as if you see the undeleted command can often restore the deleted files in much the same way. Unformat command can help you restore the disk to its earlier state, but after you've mistaken and formatted with the following example to show that you have the reformat of the disk with the parameter quick parameter with a format command with a reverse of the format to unformatted command. Version 5 of the MS-DOS include the mirror command, which can be used to record the current status of the disk. The disk information can be used later when an unformatted disk. For more information about the mirror, see Appendix C with the MS-DOS command reference. If you have the version 5 later, type of the following create with a small file with a floppy disk and the drive of the A show it that you can handle the change when reformat it. C drive copy console, A drive my file documents for this file, maybe the sample of shift sample file. Shift Z, use the directory command, verify with the my file the documents on the floppy disk or drive A. While you're looking at the display, also make the note of the volume serial number before the floppy disk. Now reformat the floppy disk. This time use the quick parameter of the format command with the type of this for the C format A drive quick parameter. MS-DOS responds much as it does when you don't use the quick parameter. First, it asks you to insert the floppy disk and drive. The floppy disk in the drive is able to press enter. Next, MS-DOS check for the existing disking format because the floppy disk has already been formatted. It tells you to save it in the unit format. Information message appears whenever you reformat it. Alright. Alright, mama. You can hit the light. Thanks, mama. Tells you saving unit format information message appear whenever you reformat a disk. MS-DOS itself will save the disk storage information. When quick formats drive the floppy disk drive that becomes active at a short time, then MS-DOS tells you the drive of the disk and quick formatting the message is filed almost immediately by this format complete. MS-DOS should know be asking you for the volume label, and the name of the disk of the DOS disk. The type N with my MS-DOS asks this. Quick format another yes or no. If you try the directory command, you notice the two changes my file doc no longer appear with the directory. The volume serial number is now different. The changes show that the floppy disk has indeed been reformatted. Unformatting the floppy disk. Following example shows you how you can try to rebuild the floppy disk after mistaking formatting it. Do not use that does not assume that you cannot rebuild the floppy disk whenever you want. As you see shortly, some of the messages of the MS-DOS display rebuilding disk can cause the loss of the stored data. For examples are included here to help you make in emergencies. Copying and careful handling are still the best method of protecting information on your floppy disk. Suppose you know that you realize your format wrong floppy disk, the one in the drive that contains some of the valuable files you want to recover. The format command save the information that can be able to restore the disk in former condition. Use the format command to rebuild the disk as long as you do not use the parameter U parameter for the format command and the format of the disk. The example uses only the parameter of the layer of the drive and containment of the disk. If it to be unformatted, other parameters the unformat are described in Appendix C of the MS-DOS command reference. To unformat the sample of the floppy disk drive A, type the unformat a drive A in MS-DOS. Respond with a message asking you to enter the floppy disk to rebuild the floppy disk in the drive. So entered it to begin with the unformatting. Now you see the rather word respond with the end from MS-DOS. But read through it all. The message tells you the information needed to rebuild the disk has been found with the file name of the mirror file, and MS-DOS will be attempting to unformat the disk. You also receive the message telling you to rebuild the disk could cause loss of the information. Keep this in mind. Relying on the command to rebuild the disk don't make a part of your everyday work on the MS-DOS. This is not how it is meant to be used. If you're using version 5, MS-DOS tells you the last time the mirror file was updated and exacts you to press the lowercase L. If you want to rebuild the disk using the file to found in P, if you want to issue the prior file, the rarely will. Exit is the end of the command and you want to continue, so press L. Version 5 later gives you one more chance to change the line. Remind the following message appears on one line on your screen. Are you sure you want to update with the system right area with the drive A, yes or no? Time you use you're sure you press Y, the driver becomes busy. A few moments and the MS-DOS finishes up with a message. System area drive A has been rebuilt. You may need to restart the system. You don't have to restart the system with the disk. If it's done, when you check with the directory of the drive A, you will find that the format has not only recovered the bind file doc, it is a restore of the original volume serial number of the disk. Alright, rebuilding a hard disk. Because the exponential potential level in terms of the program data of the recent version, the MS-DOS require the deliberate effort of the format of hard disk, not accepted to be taken lightly. Most experienced with the computers feels at least with a small twinge after pressing enter of the start of the process. To begin with the version 5 of the unformatted command provides me that you undo the format with either floppy disk or hard disk. Earlier in the chapter, you wanted to unformat the command with the floppy disk, unformatted hard disk in the same way. Be aware that however the files stored with the hard disk become unavailable after the disk has been formatted. In order to unformat the work on the system with, for example, the one hard disk, one floppy disk drive, you need to start up floppy disk, which way you can start with the MS-DOS from the drive A. We create the test with the floppy disk with the format S command and copy the floppy disk with the MS-style file on format.command, as well as the accurate copies of the file, the auto execute batch and configure system, which are in the root directory of the startup disk. Can you unformat one of the other tabs of the hard disk, rebuild the damaged portion of the table. Damaged portion table to me with the MS-DOS cannot find it, and therefore start from your hard disk, then unable to access your hard drive with your version 6 of the MS-DOS starting your machine. The startup floppy disk run with the unformat command. Unformat check with the damaged portion table to fix it as possible. If you're using version 5, you can use the mirror command to save the copy of the portion table on the floppy disk. Then if your hard disk portion of the table to become the damage, you can specify with the part backslash partition part n parameter with the undeleted command with the rebuild of the partition table from the copy. See appendix C with the MS-DOS command reference with more information about the mirror and the version 5 parameters for the undelete. Alright, guarding against virus programs. Computer viruses determine you to discover the program that hides itself on the disk, usually within inside of the program file that describes itself of the system. The system virtually eventually does something to irritate you, even to destroy your files. There are now thousands of such programs, but danger from them has been exaggerated. In recent years, virus can be introduced to your computer only if you use the infected floppy disk or if the computer isn't connected to another machine that is as a virus. If you run a program that has been infected with a virus, most software manufacturers check with the disk for the virus programs before boxing them, so if your machine isn't connected to any others, if you use only the disk and disk of the programs we bought, you shouldn't have any worries about viruses. However, it makes sense to be cautious. When you know the virus program do exist, sometimes cause the inconvenience of the damage to the program and the data. But you protect your system against viruses. Version 6 MS-DOS includes programs that run under both MS-DOS and Windows to detect and remove the virus programs from your MS-DOS. Even though include the program you can install that runs all the time regarding the system against the virus program that might wreak the havoc on your files. We'll discuss the MS-DOS version of these programs. See the MS-DOS user guide, with which comes from the MS-DOS description on how to use these versions that were written in Microsoft Windows. Alright, checking your hard disk. Easy to check with the hard disk for the virus. Start with the Microsoft Antivirus program. Type MSAV whether you know if the program first gives the information about your disk, as it does with the box with the screen tab with the reading disk information display with the width of the disk. Program is reading and how many directories it has read so far with what is done. Antivirus displays opening screen. The window titled Main menu offers 5 options which are listed in the left half of the window. The detect, clean, select new drive options exist as the pane with the right half of the window. Describe the detection option which is currently selected. Option lets you know that the issue of the defect antivirus will scan the direct disk for virus and give you the choice of correcting the problem, cleaning, continuing without cleaning, and quitting scanning. For example, you're going to scan the disk, get rid of the antivirus from the press tab key with the ones for the selected. The second option, detect and clean it as the paint. Right, explain with it. If you choose the detect and clean antivirus scan, you can discuss the virus, and if it finds any of the cleans out, will it give you the choice for the press enter to begin with the process now. Antivirus first check that there isn't viruses already running on your machinery and the memory. The check that every file on the hard disk showing that you've been in progress in the pane with the right display of the name of the files in the current checking with the upper left hand corner of the screen. Alright, when antivirus finishes the display of the summary of the report with showing how many disks and files with the scan with how many files with a clean chance of the report show the antivirus found no infections. The antivirus does not have the infected file with a clean of the file, but it cleans the file, adjusting that any of the change of the virus made to the file may prompt you to take additional action. After checking some of the report, take any action recommended by the antivirus code of the report, pressing enter to choose the OK but not quit the program, pressing the tab, keep the key 3 times to select with the action option, then press enter. The antivirus will display with the box letting you know that you're closing antivirus. If you're certain you want to quit, press the enter. If you don't, press tab to select, cancel, then press enter. Alright, checking a floppy disk. As I mentioned earlier, the floppy disk can be transported with the method of the virus from one computer to another. Viruses, if you're using a disk whose origins you don't know, you would be wise to check with the disk for the virus before copying anything into the hard disk. Insert the disk and you want to check with the disk drive. For example, you have the A drive with the antivirus that is typing MSAV. Checking the select the new drive option, pressing tab, the key until the options highlighted, then press enter in the list of your disk drive that appear with the upper left of the corner of your screen. Press the left arrow key twice to select the A drive, then press enter the antivirus. Give the information about the floppy disk in the same way. Give the information about your hard disk after and finish with the getting information. Antivirus ready to check with the disk and show the detect the option, detect clean the option to start the scan. Checking for unknown viruses. Antivirus check that every virus that it knows. Of course, there are some new viruses that the antivirus does not recognize. Antivirus has a way to combat those as well, but as mentioned earlier, most viruses infect program files first. Then, at the time the antivirus runs the node style, they attribute the date of the time of all of the program files on your disk. Next time you check with your disk for the antivirus, it checks that none of those program files that have changed. A change might indicate the presence of a virus and find the modified program files as it scans. Antivirus displays a box select the following one. Antivirus lets you know that the program file has changed, but it gives you some of the choice for the action. If you know that the file has changed, for example, if you update your program and you press enter to update and let the antivirus know that the file was legitimately changed, be sure to check with the name of the directory that contains the program, and it might give you a clue to the reason the file was changed. Suppose you have recently updated your version of MS-DOS. You can see the example above the high memory system is in the MS-DOS directory. If you don't know, high memory system does. The fact that this isn't the MS-DOS directory gives you the ample reason not to worry that it has been changed since the last time when they checked for the viruses. Should leave the fit alone with a simply select with the update choice with the absolute positive the file shouldn't have the change, then it might very well have the virus. Press tab twice to select the continue, then press enter. If then the antivirus finds a virus, that file should be deleted and file will restore and from the backup. Using antivirus with updating software. Updating any of the software, such as word processor, spreadsheet program, or even MS-DOS menu file will be changed legitimately when you're running antivirus after updating the software. Will be prompted to accept change after every one of those files. You can avoid this time-consuming task by deleting the information antivirus has saved about your program files before you update your software. Alright, first type the MSAV, the start of the antivirus. Next, show the detect clean option to scan your disk of the virus with the antivirus complete with the scan. The press of the F7 function key. The message box will appear with asking whether you're sure that you want to delete the checklist files. And the press of the enter begin with the process. The press tab the enter for the cancel operation. Antivirus run pro. Directories on the disk delete the information saved about the program files. Unbox on the right side of the window. Keep you informed of the progress while procedures completing access antivirus by pressing tab until the exit option is highlighted, then pressing enter. Now you're ready to update your software. Follow the reinstall instruction that came with the software. When your software update is complete, run the antivirus one more time to reinstate the information about your program files. Simply choose the detect and clean option again because you deleted the information about the older version of your program files. The antivirus won't prompt you to accept the new version. Alright, running antivirus with a command. You can also run antivirus by typing single command with the command prompt with using the parameters specified with the specify option complete with the flow of the command shown in the appendix. See MS-DOS command reference. For example, if you type the following MSV C drive prompt C parameter tells antivirus to scan your memory and hard disk viruses to clean any affected files it finds. If you want to be vigilant against viruses, you can run this command every time you start with your computer. You can do this automatically by adding the command to your file. Execute batch. We'll see the chapter 14, creating your own commands for the details about your special file. You probably don't need it to run antivirus that often, however, unless you use lots of this and programs on the computer systems. Constant protection with the vSafe. If you with your safety system continuously monitor against the unwanted effects of a virus program, you can run the vSafe program to get available to version 6. The program monitors everything that happens within your system. Make sure the non-unwanted programs are run, and vSafe discovers something suspected. Immediately display the message box containing warning on your screen. Load vSafe, type the vSafe after vSafe display with the message telling you successfully load the Alt-V to display with the vSafe control menu, which contains the list of the action vSafe with the protect scan. The action file will be by an XR product currently protected, and an explanation for these actions for the parameters that can use the vSafe is included in Appendix C. MS-DOS command reference for the chain with whether particular action will protect with the type of the number to correspond with the action. If the action is protected when you type the number, it will become unprotected. If the action is not protected, it will become unprotected. When you have finished making your selections, press exit to return to the command line. vSafe uses quite a bit of memory, about 23 kilobytes loaded on your system because it checks all the disk memory activity. Know that you probably do not need the level of the protection offered to the vSafe unless the routinely use a lot of disks and programs from other computer systems. You can unload vSafe by typing vSafe parameter U by pressing Alt U when the control menu displays on the screen. Alright, developing backup procedure. You can take with a drawer full of floppy disks to back up all the files on your hard disk. If your average files are 10,000 bytes or long, about 61.5 double space type pages of a full 40 megabyte hard disk would have more than 4,000 files, and you need almost 35 high density 1.2 megabyte floppy disks to back them all up. All 120 megabyte hard disks could require more than 1.2 megabyte floppy disk. But you don't have that backup of all your files. You need that to back up the program file. For example, if you already have the original MS-DOS application program floppy disk, some of the data files, such as the spelling dictionary, does not usually change, so it's necessary to back up them either. Often to back up the other data files, such as the word processing document spreadsheet, depends often on how they change. For example, the spreadsheets might change, but often the budget is being prepared will remain unchanged the rest of the year. Backup procedures depend on how you use the computer, but no matter how you decide to back up your files, be certain to do so regular. System failure can happen, but as to back up your files regularly, such failure will be merely inconvenience instead of a disaster. Backing up and restoring files with the MS Backup. The version 6 will use the MS-DOS program, MS Backup, Microsoft Backup. Make backup copies of the file, floppy disk, restore file with a backup file, floppy disk to the hard disk. The MS Backup does not require you to type commands. Instead, it presents you with a menu from which you chose the task you want a program to carry out. See how MS Backup works. Make sure you have the two formatted floppy disks. Both floppy disks must stay in the same type of the MS backup in the system prompt. This first time the MS backup has to run on your system. It tells your backup requires configuration for this computer to start the series of the steps of the determine with the sort of the hardware with your user using especially with the sort of the floppy disk drive that you have. The enter the receive of the configuration command. Configuration property automated run through with the menu of the MS backup commands flashing through with the screen with almost faster than you can read them. Occasionally they will pause, display a message, wait for you to press enter. The fourth of such instance occur with the MS backup display with the box tilted the floppy disk compatibility tab with the message explain with the intro of the MS backup that will create reliable backups as necessary for the perform test backup. Press enter to start the test, then the portion of the configuration which you'll need two disks. MS backup automatically backs up some of the file from MS directory in the middle of the test. The MS backup displays the box tilted the backup into which you specify with the floppy disk drive will use. If you see the dot between the parentheses at the beginning of the line with the descripting your floppy disk, you will drive the select with simply press the enter with the select with a different disk drive with the type of the character with this highlight with the UV with the color with the letters red. In the line you want to choose you see with the dot between the parentheses to move the correct line. Now press enter to continue the process. The MS backup asks you to insert the first one, then the other floppy disk on the drive you select after completing the backup. The MS backup will confirm accuracy of the backup comparing the file with the disk for the original file. With the whole configuration process should have taken about 5 minutes or so. When configuration is finished with the MS backup, display with the dialog box title here with the option save with highlighted. The press enter save with the configurations of the MS backup will know how your system configuration from now on. This end configuration process now with the MS backup check with the configuration of your system displays it. Main menu, the box title backup file with the version number. The main menu displays file with the choice of the backup. Restore with the compare figure quit. May recover the backup as highlighted. You can shoot it now and press enter. MS backup display with the backup screen. This window is from which you almost do all your work. Online help, like Antivirus, is other menu based on the MS-DOS program. MS Backup includes online help that describes every function of the program. See how it works. Press F1, MS Back 1 to display with the window with the backup help. This should explain with how to get the help. After reading the screen with the MS page down and move to the next screen, which shows the list of the help of the topics. Choose the backup screen. Choose the select file with the button, the pressing of the tab, and then key until the highlighted. Then as pressing enter with the MS backup, the display with the description of the selected backup files. Screen states how to select this file that you want to back up, and you will see the selected backup file of the screen on page 228. Scroll with the description when you have finished reading it and press escape to return back up the screen. Remember, use online help to review the description of everything that was MS Backup does. Types of type of the backup. MS backups of the three types of backup: full, which backs up every file; incremental, which backs up every selected. They have to change some of the last full incremental backup. Differential, which backs up every file select with the chain that's into the last full with the backup. If you start doing the full backup, then do incremental backup each night. You need a floppy disk for a full backup. The incremental backups to recover all the files that you start doing the full backup. Then no differential backup each night. You need only the floppy disk for the full backup. With the last incremental backup to recover all of the files. Method used to it depends on how many files you want to back up and how many of the files you chain with the typical workday. If you do not chain with many of the files, especially if the files you chain with tend to be same file with a differential backup, will probably most effective for you. You have the most current copies of those files saved, but if you chain with quite with a few files every day, you're probably better off doing incremental backups, keeping all the incremental backup floppy disks until you do that next full backup. Alright, access of the parts of the backup screen. Backup screen contains the 8 elements. The highlighted element, one of the current selected with the select with a different element. Press the tab key until the element is highlighted. The most key for the one of the highlight with the element. Press the enter for the two of the element. Perform an action. For example, the tab until the highlight is on the element. The backup type. Press enter. MS Backup displays a box and lets you choose the type of the backup you want to perform. The box contains a list of choice of the perceived with the set of the parentheses, one with which contains the dot. The dot represents the selected item. You can select one of the item that is in kind. List. There are two ways to select the item you want. You can press the key with the highlighted character of the line we want to select. You can choose up and down arrow. The keys to move the highlight with the line that you want to select. Then press spacebar to move the dot with a highlighted line. If you want to cancel your selection, return to the backup screen with the X. Either by pressing tab until the word cancel. Select the press enter for the press the escape key. To accept your selection, simply press enter. Note that you have an idea of how to move around the MS backup. Press escape through and return the backup screen. This tutorial will give the instruction to use using the keyboard. If you have the mouse, feel free to use it. For example, if the mouse using elements within backup of the screen is easy, all you have to do is position the mouse over the pointer over the element you would likely to choose, then select, click, and press and release left mount button. You can easily choose from the list. Alright, selecting files to back up. These examples of the file will require the directory structure of the files created in the previous chapter of the tab, then completed those examples so that before continually go back to some of the files. The first choose select file with the backup of the screen of the MS backup. Reads all the file name of the current hard disk drive of the display with the select of the backup file of the screen. You read only the online help description on the screen on the page of the 226. As you can see, the screen contains a list of the directories on your disk, a list of the file with the currently selected directory, MS backup. First display of the screen, the highlight of the list of the directories. Press down the arrow of the key until the highlight word processing subdirectory. The CGR market directory with the following figures show the result of the display of the directories shown with your own screen will most certainly be different from the ones shown here. However, your list of the file with the word processing directory should be the same. Alright, now press the tab key to remove the highlight with the section of the screen with the name of the file, name of the select with the file, with the backup, with the up and down, with the arrow key with the select with the file, with the between, name and press spacebar. If you use the mouse position with the mouse point with the file name, press the right button of the mouse, try with the press down with the arrow key, try with the select with the file name, the let to doc, then press the spacebar, check with the mark with the appeared with the left down with the file name, in the same way as select with the RPT1 doc, RPT2 doc, or an RP3D doc. If you have the mouse MS backup, makes it easy to select with a series of files. All you have to do is hold down the position mouse pointer over the first file name, press and hold the right mouse button, move the mouse pointer down to the last file within the series with the release the right mouse button. Once you've selected the file stays selected, you can reverse the selection on the file with the highlight and the file name, pressing the spacebar again. You can also select all the files within the directory, press tab with it on the highlight with the backup of the list of the directory. Now press the upper arrow with the key with the one select with the directory name budget, then press the spacebar. Now look at the list of the file name of the right side, each of the one, proceed with the check mark, press the spacebar again, all check with the marks disappear with the move back of the word processing directory. Backing up files, you've marked up the 4 files with the backup. They are let document number 2, RPT1 document, and 2 and 3. The screen should look like this, and then show the press the tab key until the OK is selected. Press the enter MS button backup. Return with the backup screen in the lower middle of the screen tells you the 5 file with the backup within the 4 time you marked plus the catalog file with the MS backup creates. You need only one floppy disk that will make about 15 seconds of the backup of the file. With the insert one of the floppy disk with the MS backup using check configuration of your system that achieve the start backup with the upper right corner of the screen, highlighting and pressing enter. Because you've already have the disk on the drive, simply enter the MS backup. It tells you the enter for the disk of the drive A with the backup. Because you're with the floppy disk with the MS backup wrote on while checking in your system configuration, you see the message telling you that you have the insert of the disk that already contained the backup file, but asking whether to retry with the overwrite of the disk. Because you need file with the currently on the disk, select overwrite with the press enter for the continue. But it does not take a long time to back up the 4 files, probably less than an estimated 15 seconds. When an MS backup finishes the display of the summary report, waits up, you press the enter. Now return to the once again with the MS backup menu. MS backup includes more options of these basic functions that you need to set up with the product backup. Receive the name of the file, the show of the backup of the example, the scope of the file, name, default set. Make sure that these files were not included in your backup. Receive the for now with the show of the backup, the return of the backup screen, with the show of the select file, with the remove the check marks for 4 files, and show of the directory, the run DOS and marketplace workplace. With the the space bar to remove the check marks from the file with none. Name it down, choose OK, choose the description of the lower middle of the backup screen. The whole should say that you have 0 files selected. Quit MS backup by pressing escape key. Press the name of the MS backup to ask if you want to save each chain with the default set with the finally choose the quitting with the MS backup in the main menu. Restoring files using MS backup. The restoring files work with about the same with the backing them up. Now the type of the file with the delete the 3 files while those file names start with the RPT. Change directory, run DOS, marketplace, workplace, run DOS, marketplace, workplace, delete RPT, wildcard.doc. Start MSP backup again with the type of the MS backup at the time. The restore to the main menu with the select and press enter with the restore screen locks in it. Very much like with the backup screen that you with the select files at the lower left. Again with the display with the directory file with the lock. Most of the times when you're backing up the files, highlight with the directory run DOS market work process. Name of the 4 files you backed up should appear. As you did, select backup file screen with put the check mark for the next to the RPT1 dock with the RPT dock with RPT3 dock. Then choose OK with the restore the screen with the tail with the 3 files. Select with the restore check with the start with the restore the upper right with the screen with the MS back with the backup prompts you with the put with the disk with the drive A with the press enter with the OK. Because the floppy disk can be with the backup is still there. Again, restore process itself will just take a few seconds with the MS backup display with the summary report. Press enter with the MS backup return with the main menu. You view the main feature of the bolt of the backup, the restore of the parts of the MS backup. You can expand with the other feature of the issue you did here. Whenever the meaning of the term or the purpose of the toilet isn't clear, they use the online help to get the explanation. MS Backup with Windows. MS Backup with Windows works in much same way with the version described here, although the appearance of the screen match Windows is to offer the online help, and you should be able to use the Windows version if preferably not with no difficulty. Alright, backing up file with the backup command in version 5 of the earlier, you must use the backup command, the backup files, although the lack of a convenient menu with the mouse for the feature of the MS backup program included with the version 6.0 and later backup command and companion, and the restore command on the left offers the compatibility. You need the backup of your files. Backup command lets you select the file with the base of the path name of their file name of the whether they have been changed if the last backup of the whether they have been changed depends on the particular date. Parameters can be combined so they can back up the file within just a way any way you like. The backup command can have many of the time parts backups over the drive. The parameters AS, MNF, and directory D directory date and time and log file. So for the file set with the files where you want to back up the specify the drive such as the A drive path with the stuff with the A drive my file with the file name with or without wildcard such as the A wildcard document or the combination of these elements of the A my file with the report doc. Drive with letter file with the sound by calling the drive such as the A that contain with the disk of the receive of the backup file with the must specify with the drive. A adds the backup of the file with the backup of the disk rather than erasing all the file with the backup of the disk, and as the command usually be done with this before making the backup of copies. Command S parameter backs up file from all the subdirectories. Parameter M backs up only file that have been modified since the last backup. Backup F in versions prior to 4. Format target if it isn't already formatted. The parameter F is the format command with the format command. Format the target if format command must either be the current of the directory with the directory that is in the command with the path of format F is the required version of 4 or 5 but they have already formatted the disk. Now with the MS task automatically formats for the floppy disk for the normal capacity of the drive. Again, you assume that they can find that format command. You have, however, the parameter F the either format the set of the floppy disk for the format one of the more floppy disks with a capacity other than more than one MS task assumes the floppy disk drive, for example, to specify the format of the 360 format 360 kilobyte floppy disk and 1.2 megabyte drive. When the MS task finishes with whatever the formatting you choose to move the backup direct procedure you've requested into the backup command. The /date drive, the big X up of all the files changed into the date and the enter of the date just as you would with the date command. Backup time backs up all the files that have changed into the time and on the date with the enter of the time just as you would on the time command. Log directory, log file creates a log file of the disk and sort the drive of the log contained with the date with the backup file procedure for each of the files backed up the path name and the file name and the number this time with the MS file of the floppy disk that contain the file. The log files already exist. The backup information is added at the end, creating a history. Backup the sort of the drive. It's included the parameter L, but omit the colon log file with the MS task names the log file backup log and stores it in the root directory of the source drive. Although the backup command exists in version 2 of the later MS-DOS, not all of the versions include all the parameters described here, nor all the versions are relieved that MS-DOS are compatible with one another. For all this, the parameters available, you check the documentation that came up with the version of the MS-DOS. You should use the same version of MS-DOS both for the backup and restore all files. Backing up all the files within the directory. Simply wave the backup of all the files within the directory. Backup of all the files within the directory. Specify the path of the directory later with the floppy disk for the disk drive. Contains the backup of the floppy disk, and then to ensure that the example is perceived smoothly, you've already either with a formatted blank floppy disk, the new floppy disk match of the capacity with your floppy disk. Remember, if you have the version 3 or earlier, the floppy disk must be formatted before you back up any of the files. Back up all the files with the directory with the run DOS market budget with the type of the following. C drive run DOS marketplace back budget drive A. MS-DOS displays a warning insert backup floppy disk 1 with the drive A. Warning files in the target disk for A drive root directory will be erased. Press any of the key to continue. If you do not use the parameter A with the MS-DOS erases any of the file with the backup floppy disk because before it makes the backup copy, this warning gives you the chance to make a certain correct floppy disk and is in the drive. Put your blank floppy disk in drive A, press any key. If you have the version 4 or 5, use the unformatted floppy disk. MS-DOS will give the backup procedure by formatting floppy disk to maximum capacity of the drive unless you formatted the parameter F or T or parameter N when the backup procedure for the begin with the MS-DOS split with the name of each of the file it makes the copy of backing up the file of the drive A with floppy disk numbers, and then it shows directly the backup floppy disk shows one of the two files you may not expect the type of the running DOS market directory A drive. If you're using version 3.3 later, MS-DOS response to your direct command looks like something like this: volume drive A backup 001 directory of A, and then MS-DOS has stored all the backup file within the file with the name of the backup 001. While the path name of the file with the control 001, second backup floppy disk extension would be 002, third backup floppy disk would be 003. Note the size of the backup of the 001 correspond with the total number divided with the three files and contain control 001 contains all extra information MS-DOS needed to restore these files with your version of 3.2 and earlier of the 360 kilobyte floppy disk. MS-DOS response volume drive A has no label directory A, and then backup ID, a small file with the MS-DOS store with the backup floppy disk identified with it. Also note the MS-DOS has added 128 bytes to each of the file with the backed up. This addition contains the path of the file, name of the file with the backed up, and is used in restore the command. If restore the command deletes the path of the file, name, information, restore version of the file identical to the one of the backed up. You work with the restore command later in this chapter. If you back up the command with the file with the floppy disk before backing up all of the files, you specify the MS-DOS prompts. You can put another floppy disk in display with the same warning, but refers to the second floppy disk as floppy disk number is 2. Another floppy disk is required. MS-DOS prompts again increase the floppy disk number each time. If it were actually backing up the files, you would label the floppy disk you would use with the contents and date stored in a safe place, backing up all the subdirectories. Back up all the file with the current directory, the L with the subdirectory with the parameter F. For example, the current directory with the run DOS marketplace with the backup all the files and then all the subdirectory with the type of the backup and then wildcard dot extension wildcard A drive parameter S. MS-DOS with a display with the name of all the 13 files with the backed up with the directory with the run DOS marketplace workplace, run DOS marketplace, and budget. Backup floppy disk would contain all of your marketing files, not just file with the one with the subdirectory. Not just the files from one subdirectory. Backing up specific file. When you back up a specific file, will include the file name and the backup of the command. For example, the current directory where run DOS market workplace would keep the backup of the letter 1 doc. For the A drive, the backup just like letter 1 doc. Use the wildcard character of the backup of the set with a file with the same name and extension. For example, the type can backup wildcard doc A drive would pack up all files with the extension that is backupping up all files that have changed. As the number of your files increase, you might want to be even more selective about the ones you back up. For example, the word processing directory might contain 100 of the document, but only if you were working with now with the M modified parameter of the backup command backs up only the file with the change since the directory was last backed up. See how the parameter you need the file that has been changed since the backed up run DOS and marketplace in the last example. Create a short line file by copying from the console. C drive run DOS market copy of the console new document. This file that has been changed since the last pickup shifted Control Z. That's how MS-DOS to back up any file that has been changed files since the directory was last backed up. C run DOS marketplace backups asterisk wildcard asterisk extension A drive parameter M. MS-DOS display with a warning, and when you press A key, the display with the backed up files and backup file with the drive A, and then on the new file is backed up. You can also back up only those files that have changed since a particular date with a date drive as a parameter. For example, if you type with the command backup asterisk wildcard and wildcard extension D drive 0105 1995, MS-DOS would back up with all the files that were created or changed on and after created or changed on or after January 1st, 1995, whether or not they have been backed up before. Adding file with the backup of floppy disk. Each of the form of the backup command you have to use the far start of the erasing any of the file with the backup floppy disk. It might be many times, however, we want to back up the file with several different interactions with the one floppy disk. Add a file with the two. Add existing backup floppy disk. The parameter A add the file the backup floppy disk without erasing any of the backup file that it contains. As periodically back up the view file with several different directories, you can either do parameter A to back up all the files on one floppy disk. Word caution about the technique with the version MS-DOS through 3.2. A file you add to the backup floppy disk has the same name of the extension as file already on the floppy disk. MS-DOS changes the extension of the added file to @01, regardless of what it was what it was before. Or restoring files on a hard disk with the restore command. I think I'm gonna pause the tape there. Restoring file to the hard disk with the restore command. Easily restore the file with the backup floppy disk to the hard disk. Use the restore command. Simply insert the backup floppy disk drive with the type of restore to specify the name of the file with the be restored. Restore the command. Need the path with the file name and information. Add the file with the backup command so you can restore only with the file with the backup command. Restore command in version 5 later can restore the files backed up with the backup command. Any of the previous version of MS-DOS. If you do not have version 5 or later, however, you should use the same version of MS-DOS for both the backup and restore command. Restore commands can have any of the many of the 12 parameters: restore drive, path, file name, parameter S, P, M, N, D, A, and A drive, date, B drive, date, E drive, time, and logic time, L time, drive in the letter with the file with a column with the subject drive, A, the container of the backup of the file. The edition must include the drive, the path, the name, receive the drive letter, option, and colon appropriate with the directory of the file to be restored with the path of the file is restored. Current directory, note the file must be restored with the same directory from which it was backed up. File name and the name of the file to be restored. You can use the wildcard character of the restore the sub file that must specify either path or file name. Parameter S, restore the file with the BL subdirectories. Parameter P, tell the MSD prompt the configuration before restoring reading only file with the files that have changed since they were last backed up. And parameter M, restore the file with a modified symbol that we were backed up. And parameter N, restore the file that had been deleted with the original sort of distance they were backed up. Parameter D does not restore any of the file to display the list of the files stored over the backup file, but it does the match of the path of the file names you specify with the part of the restorable command version 5. Later, only path must be specified even though the no files will be restored. B, the date restores only the files that were changed on or before the date. Enter for the date, just as you would for the date of the command. A drive that restore the only file that were changed after the date, and enter for the date that restores as you would for the date with the command. E drive time that restores only the files that were changed as earlier than the time on the date. Enter time as just as you would with the time command. The L time restores only the files that you've changed at or later than the time on the date with an enter for the time just as you would do the time command. Although the restore command exists for the version of the MS-DOS number 2, later not all the versions include all the parameters described in here. For a list of the parameters available to you, check with the documentation that came with you the version of the MS-DOS. Warning, do not use the backup of the restore command if you have entered an assigned join and substitute command to alter the way of the MS-DOS interpret the drive letters, because these commands can mask the type of the drive of the MS-DOS could damage and delete the files you specify with the commands or other files on the disk. To prepare the restore command example of the file with the type of the following command to the backup of the file with the run DOS and market working place. C drive market run DOS market backup wildcard asterisk A drive parameter I. MS-DOS issue the usual warnings as press key to back up the file with after MS-DOS display with the name of the file with the backup all the file with the hard disk by typing this. C drive run dash marketplace WordPress the delete wildcard name wildcard extension. This completes the preparation restoring example of restoring a specific file. Inadvertently erasing or changing a file, probably the most common reason for restoring the file. You can restore the specific file with the specified with the restore with the drive of the target drive of the prepare with the file with the name of the restore command. Must include the path if you restore the file with the directory other than current directory of the path you specify must be the same as the path of which the file was originally backed up. For example, if the current directory with the run DOS marketplace word processing, you type the restore with the A drive letter 1 SUY for the restore with the only letter 1 system. You can omit the path because you're restoring the file with the current directory. You can use the use the wildcard character to restore the save file, same name and extension. For example, to restore all the file with the extension of the document with the backed up from the current directory, run DOS marketplace WordPress. Use the restore a wildcard doc. If you enter the restore command with the path name and the wildcard specification, wildcard extension, MS restores all of the files belonging within that directory, restoring all subdirectories. Just as parameter as the backup of the command backs up all of the file of the directory, all of the subdirectory of the parameter as the restore of the command query, restore of the file of the directory, and all subdirectory the restore of the file of the run DOS, all of the subdirectories you would restore of the as they run DOS directory, store on wildcard and wildcard scripts in prompt at parameter S. Selecting files to be restored. As files restore the place of the file with the same name of the hard disk, you might not want to replace the restore the place of the file with the same name on the hard disk. You may not want to replace this replacement, especially if the chain of the file with the hard disk since the backup floppy disk was made. You can protect yourself with the unwanted chain of the value of the parameter P with the prompt parameter restore command, which of the MS off the prompt. The confirmation of the file with the hard disk that has changed since the backup was made. If you're using version 3.2 earlier, restoring the files that were backed up with the previous version MS-DOS, be sure that you have the P parameter. If the MS-DOS have the whether to restore the file with the MS-DOS system or the iOS system, IBM BIO com, IBM DOS command com. Replied no. Otherwise, you would replace the parts of the MS-DOS program with the portions of the earlier version of the MS-DOS when installed with your hard disk. Remember, backing up your files is your best way to cheap the insurance against the hard disk problems of those, especially occasional will have to lead to me the mistake. It does not matter how well you know how to use the backup capabilities if you don't use them. Chapter 11, the MS-DOS shell. Testing. Testing. Testing.